Alright lads, so in less than 12 hours time, we are going to be getting our next set of resurrectable characters. 10 years later, Ichigo and Rukia are getting the upgrades. We already spoke about it when the information did get data mined, but TLDW, they're getting pretty good upgrades. Ichigo is becoming one of the best links in the mind attribute, being at 12% recharge and 20% more damage at full stamina, while also at the same time picking up the booster skills so he can give more stats through his SA2 team boost, and also being the first character in the game upon resurrecting to pick up Frenzy +2. It sets a good standard for future resurrections, especially those in the future that also have an SP boost built in. Albeit it'll take us a while before we get to that point though. As for Rukia, unfortunately for her, she didn't get quite the good link, but still nonetheless it does further increase her damage output, and she does have a unique mechanic to her, where she can get a 10-second disabler skill, giving her an increased chance to inflict stat ailments against all enemies, letting her take advantage of that damage to frozen enemy skill. But also at the same time, she does pick up a 50% spiritual pressure boost, allowing her to actually do some pretty decent damage. These characters in the way were almost perfect upon release, and upon resurrecting 4 years later, they only really needed damage. And I would have loved to have seen their damage get further increased to really compete with some of the new characters coming out this year. Unfortunately, resurrections just aren't that, but nonetheless, they do get better. I'm excited to try them out tomorrow. But before we do, let's turn back the pendulum and have a look at these characters when they first released almost 4 years ago. So first up, let's have a look at my video in regards to reacting to these new characters, right? Because honestly, when this happened, it came out of nowhere. It really came out of nowhere. We were all expecting 1000 Year Blood War. At this time, to be fair, this entire period of 1000 Year Blood War, we were getting a lot of leaks. Like, we knew almost every banner coming up. It just kept getting leaked. I'm not sure why, but it was almost unheard of for us to go into a new banner and not know what it is. I'm not sure what happened with the leak at this time, but this banner did not get leaked. No one knew what to expect besides the fact it was going to be 1000 Year Blood War. And out of nowhere, we end up getting 10 years later Ichigo and also Rukia. Here's my reaction. Whoa, Daddy Ichigo! Aye, what? Damn, Captain Rukia, oh my god! Is that it? Whoa! Whoa! Daddy Ichigo! What? Oh my god. Needless to say, I was actually pretty excited. I think the entire community was excited, although I did check Reddit, and I wanted to throw some comments over there, but there was a lot of negativity over there for some reason. I'm not sure why. But this banner, in my opinion, is definitely up there in regards to iconic moments in Brave Soul's history that you just had to be there. Up there with 6th Anniversary Aizen. Because for the most part, while we didn't realize it at the time, this was the goodbye banner to 1000 Year Blood War. Because after this banner, we didn't get 1000 Year Blood War for like another year and a half. And I was one of the main people that actually broke this news that Caleb technically lost the 1000 Year Blood War license. And to be fair, I'll admit it was a tad bit clickbaity. But what happened here is that this was 4 months after the end of year banner. So April 5th, right? And for those that don't know, we had the 1000 Year Blood War story mode in game, but it was an exclusive event that had a countdown date. Now, when this did end, a lot of us just assumed it would just get renewed. It didn't. At the same time, what we did find out is that all the 1000 Year Blood War promotional material on Twitter, Facebook, and also YouTube, all the trailers got removed. They got removed from YouTube, they were removed from Twitter, and even on the website where they showcased the characters, they also got removed. And it was like a month or two after this, but we then stopped even getting a rerun for 1000 Year Blood War characters. And we wouldn't get a new 1000 Year Blood War banner until the 7th anniversary, a year and a half later. And technically, that was the last set of manga exclusive 1000 Year Blood War units. But at the time, again, this was basically the send-off to 1000 Year Blood War. And it's a beautiful way to send off the 1000 Year Blood War set of characters, assuming, we didn't know what the future was going to hold. Would the game still be around by the time the anime comes back? Obviously, in hindsight, it was, and we're here. We're getting 1000 Year Blood War a lot. What likely happened here when Caleb did lose the license in quotation marks, the license just expired, and they obviously renewed it for 1000 Year Blood War anime characters. They were in that, transitionary period until the anime came out. There was the whole theory that Caleb couldn't even afford to do 1,000 Gibraltar characters for a while. That was never the case. We just kind of had to wait for the anime to come back. But at the time, in 2021, going into 2022, the future was looking a bit bleak. It was looking a bit bleak. We had no idea what was going on, and we had no idea when 1,000 Gibraltar will ever return. But nonetheless, like I said, this was a cool send-off with the idea that this was going to be the final one. Let's actually have a look at the comments of what people had to say in regards to these characters. And shout out to anyone that's still here, almost 4 years later. I actually recognize some names, so shout out if you're still here. But the first comment, she can move around, I'm so proud. That was my reaction to me seeing Rukia move around in her Bankai. One of the big topics of debate here, which we still see to this day, which we're going to see when the anime does officially end, is regarding Ichigo's haircut. It does resemble Ishin's. We have this lad saying, that's our destiny, just like Ichigo, we will all go bald one day. I mean, Ichigo's not even bald, he's got a pretty good set of hair, I will be honest. We have this lad saying, I really knew that one day Rukia would master her Bankai, and that was something that was always theorized, and to see it in game for the first time was really cool. We have the boy Evan saying this was hype. Hopefully I get them. I'm pretty sure he ended up getting them a lot. I think a lot of us did over the last 4 years, right? We have D-Born saying, so now that we got 10 years later Ichigo and Rukia, I wonder if we'll get 10 years later Renji, Uryu, and Orihime, maybe even Chad. Obviously, that never happens. But maybe we will get them when the anime does officially wrap up sometime in 2026. And for the most part, the reception for this banner was actually fairly positive. I think the opinion on this banner got better over time, because I did have a look at Reddit, and Reddit was a bunch of just negativity, I will be honest, I'm not going to lie. I would say the overall opinion of the characters was that Rukia looked significantly better. I believe even in my gameplay reaction, I mentioned that this is basically a solo Rukia banner, which is kind of crazy to say, I will be honest. But at the time, in terms of visuals, I remember this was before Caleb actually showed the characters, stats and skills. They would just give us the gameplay. We'd have to speculate what they actually got for like the next 2 days. But Rukia had the Starswoman. She had the Bankai button that was unique to the game. I remember at the time, a lot of us thought that might have been for Esnot or some Stemritter using a Bankai from someone. Bankai Rukia was the last character people expected. And then as compared to Ichigo, I mean, he actually, I think, aged better over time. But from a visual standpoint, he just looked kind of basic when compared to Rukia. But nonetheless, this was, again, to me, one of the highlights of the entire decade. Reacting to these characters, just being there in general when they first released. It was super, super exciting and easily up there with 6th Anniversary Aizen reveal. This one came out of nowhere. It was a bittersweet moment because it was saying goodbye to 1,000 Blood War. We just kind of didn't realize it at the time. So now let's have a look at the character before they do resurrect and see what was great about this unit when they first released. So honestly, model-wise, I think he actually looks really cool. Again, remember, these are characters that we hadn't seen do anything. The Hell chapter hadn't even come out yet, so there was like nothing to base these characters off. And one of the interesting things about this character was the Zanpakuto toe they actually went with, which I guess makes sense, right? Not sure if Kuba had any play in regards to that. But in terms of strong attacks, his SA1 was a beam forward. Very good beam. His SA2 was a 960 AoE in front of him. That also does have a boost attack, right? So you're getting 33% more attack, focus, and also defense. Now, this was actually quite noteworthy here, because what this meant was he was actually the first character, first SP unit to be given a boost SA2 with a good actual strong attack. Now, the month prior, we did get Masaki, who actually showed us that SA2 boost attacks can be something other than an AoE around them. Like every character with a boost would always have the exact same strong attack too, but Misaki showed that they can do something else, and Ichigo basically got that, but with Frenzy and also Havoc. So this SA2 was actually amazing to have, especially during the meta where SP units were used in Guild Quest as sides. Because the idea in Guild Quest was that you wanted to just nuke through with a very powerful soul bomb, and if you had a team booster like Ichigo, he was a must-have as a side lane character, and he was used for years. And that's why I say he kind of aged better than Rukia to a certain extent, as far as Guild Quest content did go, because Ichigo was always used, even sometimes in Guild Quest where he wasn't supposed to be used in. But as far as the story part and also Captain Guild Quest did go, Ichigo is great to have. Now, unfortunately for us, are there any story parts in this quest? I don't think so, but I mean, you'll see it gameplay-wise. It's actually really good. He just lacks the damage output. And that Frenzy +2 is definitely going to help out a tad bit. Just make him a bit more enjoyable. And in fact, one of the things I love most about this character is that SA3, which we'll showcase in a sec. Let's go use the SA2. It's obviously referencing a certain attack that I'm not going to say from the manga. Like, that's such a cool idea, making that his first strong attack free. But man, obviously keep in mind, as far as the Inheritance Trials goes, we are in Linkshot Trials right now, where the enemies do have Iron Skin, so damage output, we're not going to look as impressive when compared to Rukia, who is going to have that increased chance. But let's go ahead and use the Soul Bomb. Really like the Sobum. It reminds me of the Fullbring Ichigo Sobum. Classic Getter Tensho, you can't go wrong with it. Although still to this day, I haven't really gotten a good answer on why they clearly emphasize the footsteps for Ichigo. Is it showing the path he's taken to get to this? I'm really not sure, but for our very first run, we got a 2-minute and 30-second clear time. We'll try and get faster, but I don't think we're going to be able to get, like, that much faster, because in the fact that he is, like, at his worst in, you know, Linkshot Trials. Now, one other great thing about him, too, that I think is definitely worth mentioning is the fact that he was, like, the original god-tier character in Arena, right? Now, I know Arena's not everyone's cup of tea, but when it first released and it was the new shiny game mode that everyone wanted to play, this character was a problem, and he actually got better over time, because one of the skills that he did have was read, swipe, but dodge, and this was their way of pushing a way to farm Hogakus. It was kind of a bad mechanic, I will be honest, but in Arena, right, you know, soon after this character came out, like 6 months after, we did get 6 Anniversary Aizen, who was also one of the best characters in Arena. And I believe by the time 6 Aizen came out, Arena was only like a month or 2 old. So, of course, everyone was using Aizen, and Aizen had a 50% chance to dodge against Soripus. So, Ichigo was basically the hard counter to this character. And I know for me, to this day still, even though I still play a decent amount of Arena, not so much as of late, but to this day, I've not been able to get a character that I used more than this Ichigo in Arena. And I used him during peak bug times too, where like games would go on for like 30 minutes. Can you imagine an Arena game going longer than like 5 minutes? Back when it came out, it could. And Ichigo is my go-to character up there with Misaki. He was also a good counter to her to a certain extent. So in general, he was just great everywhere. Not so much Inheritance Trials, to be honest. That was kind of okay though. Oh, end up taking some damage, unfortunately. That's going to slow us down. But in Guild Quest, he was a must-have as a side for the foreseeable future. He was still used until we got very hard guild quests. That just goes to show how useful he was. Basically up until last year. And if we were still in that guild quest nuking meta, his resurrection would have been absolutely like SSS2. Because the boosted skill with the frenzy +2, yeah, you would have still been using him to this day if you could nuke through waves. In Arena, he was an amazing character. In general, he was an amazing character. And we actually just instant killed the boss, so we'll take him. Overall, I think they did a pretty good job for a 10 years later Ichigo. Again, they don't have much to go with in terms of design here, but still this day, he is still one of my favorite characters and one of my most used characters as well. He's a character I'm glad to get resurrected tomorrow, and someone I hopefully do want to see get a new character whenever the anime does actually finish. And next up, let's check out Rukia, who everyone I think had the same opinion that she was the cooler character of the two, more so due to the fact that, as you'll see here, that she does have a transformation button that only ever returned once. Fun enough for someone like Renji, a mid-month unit of all characters, right? Which is so crazy to see. But this transformation button would, one, give him more damage, and also for the first 10 seconds, we will get an increased chance to inflict status wounds, which where the SP boost is going to come in play. Now, usually I would actually reset if I take damage here. We'll keep it going. We'll keep it going. We do actually have stamina recovery, so we can actually get back up to full stamina in the next room. But unfortunately for Rukia, in Linkshot Trials right now, you know, one thing that she was lacking was guard break. And she still lacks that with her resurrection. But it honestly wasn't that bad because the idea is that you want to use it against the Rankars. But I guess in this case, we never will be up against the Rankars for some reason. But you'll see here, we do get increased chance to inflict status elements. That was really clutch in Guild Quest content when the hard difficulty first came out. She was very good in a Guild Quest that she kind of held down for months. Not even months, for years. The Nelia Sparta, right? What was it? It was mainly only until like Bruno came out last year when we stopped using Rukia. Let's use that transform button again. Didn't get a status proc, unfortunately. But there we go. And yeah, man, it's just so cool again to use Bankai Rukia and move around. And this is why, even though I was bigging up a new Bankai Rukia, you know, related to Season 2 against Esnop, I was of the opinion that in terms of visuals, she would never look as good as, you know, this Rukia. And that's not even to say I can't have gotten worse over time. It's just that no matter how good you are, no matter how good your character looks, you're never going to be better than a Bankai that's moving around. It's just that simple, right? And obviously, since we are getting canon characters, it makes sense that, you know, the 1000 Battle Rookie that we did get would not be moving around the Bankai. Kind of similar to how the speed one that we did get. The only movable Bankai Rookie that we will get is if it's a 10 years later version like this one here. Having said that, Kena definitely didn't do the best they could do with Bankai Rookie this year, let's be honest. Bankai. In its own, it's still such a really cool soul bomb. And what I love most about this unit is the SA3, because similar to Ichigo, you know, where he references the attack that he did do, that a past character did have, this Rukia's SA3 is actually resembling the Bankai activation on her previous Bankai unit, which I think is really cool. Funny enough though, we're getting very similar clear times to Ichigo, despite us being able to inflict status, but remember we did take damage, so let's try that again and see if we actually can clear faster. Alright then, so let's try that again. This time let's try and not take any damage, right? So yeah, honestly, I think many people share the same opinion. It would be really cool to see this Bankai button return, because nowadays, to be fair, it's kind of like an EX attack. So like, we could see this Bankai button return in the form of an EX attack. I think that would make it work, right? The closest thing that we have gotten to that is Kenpachi, where he gets a 100% SP increase. And he does get an aura around him. But I think for like certain special characters, I wouldn't mind seeing an old mechanic like this return. Kind of like what we saw with the gauge mechanic. Granted, that wasn't forgotten about, but we did go a while. Ah, crap, I took damage again. But we did go a while before we actually saw the gauge mechanic. Like, it had like a 7-month hiatus for the time being, but then we already got 2 characters this year with the gauge effects. Owetsu and also Nemo, and they're actually pretty fun characters, so I would never say no to old... Oh, hold on, we luckily dodged that. To old mechanics returning, especially cool ones like this that, again, fun enough, Rukia and Renji share. And that's still absolutely wild to me. I know it's about Rukia here, but like, how did a mid-month unit get such a rare mechanic? That is the Bankai button, right? Like, what? Kind of crazy, kind of crazy. But let's go use our SA3. Love the visuals of this character's transformed state, I gotta be honest. Again, just like Ichigo, she was my most used character for quite some time. Let's go up here, SA3. Use our 1. Again, gameplay-wise too, feels relatively smooth. The only thing that she really does need is just more damage. The guard break is noticeable, but with the 50% SP boost that she will be picking up, that definitely will be making her damage a lot better. So let's go in, use our 2, then 3. Kind of wanted to get the status proc on the strong attack. Let's use our summon once more. Didn't do much damage because we did take damage ourselves, but that's fine. We'll finish up with the SA2. So yeah, that's basically Rukia. Still a really cool unit. Excited to try it out tomorrow once she does resurrect and gets that new upgrade. Same goes for Ichigo. These are 2 of my favorite characters in the entire game. I'd say we're really lucky to even have them in game in the first place, especially before the anime even started. Most games would not go out their way to do stuff like this, but we were very fortunate enough to get them. And now, 4 years later, can you believe it? Can't believe it's been 4 years. They're getting their upgrades tomorrow. I'm excited for it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video, a little recap on these characters. And I'll see you lads tomorrow when we check out their Resurrection gameplay and see how they do play with their newfound upgrades. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you lads next time. Take care and peace.